Well, here we are, starting a YouTube channel. Something I didn't think was ever going to happen. But the reality is we have a bunch of great content that isn't available on the app, but we want to make it available to you so you're the most educated that you can be when you go out in the field, regardless of the season. Speaking of seasons, it's prime bear season right now. The elk, deer, and moose are dropping their calves, and those big boars are going to be roaming the mountainsides looking for an easy meal. Hopefully, you're going to be out there knocking down a trophy bear. And when you do, check out this YouTube video that's coming up next on how to cape it out to have the perfect rug made. We walk through cutting the paws off, cutting the tail off, doing everything the correct way so that when you take your hide to the taxidermist, it doesn't set their hair on fire. In addition, we're going to have some butchering videos coming up, some cooking videos, as well as some fun hunting videos. Speaking of, I'm going on a bear hunt myself this coming weekend, and we're going to have the camera rolling the whole time. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and good hunting. I'm Mike with Credo Outdoors, and we just shot a nice boar here in Idaho, and we're going to take it and make a rug into the hide. So what we need to do is remove the paws, and we're going to remove those at the wrist joint. We need to remove the hind paws, and we're going to remove those at the ankle joint. We're going to cut up the inside of the arms and the inside of the legs, and then right down the center and essentially peel it back as if you're taking a sock off. With the front quarters, since that paw will be whole, we don't want to cut around the outside because that's going to be the top part of our rug. So we're going to need to peel that back once we get rolling. After we get the hide taken off, we will jump into taking the front quarter off, the back quarters off, and the back straps off. In addition to removing the paws, we want to leave the skull inside the head. So we're going to have to cut at one of the vertebrae to keep the skull whole. And one thing to pay attention to is make sure that the tail, you leave the tail on the animal as well as the vertebrae in the tail. Once you get it to the taxidermist, it's best to give the taxidermist all of the material and let them take care of it. The more that you end up messing with it, unless you're really skilled with a knife and know exactly what the taxidermist wants, you may end up actually causing more damage than just leaving the animal as raw as possible and letting the taxidermist do their artwork. So for this boar, we're going to use our Argali knives, and we have our Argali game bags. And as always, we have a sharpener with us to touch up the knife. So we have two different Argali knives here. Both of them were recently sharpened, so I'm going to put one in my pocket and just go ahead and get to work. So you don't want to cut any of the paw because you want to keep that whole for the rug. And I'm just getting in there and identifying the bones and where the joint is going to be that I'm going to cut into. And since we are going to get this taxidermied into a rug, we want to make nice cuts as clean as possible. Up at the elbow, and I'm going to come up. Sharp knives are a hunter's best friend. Like that. I'm going to grab good on that paw and do the same thing before I articulate those joints. Well, you can leave it run the whole time. I mean, I'm obviously too late now, but you think meeting in the center was the right thing?
I don't know what else you would do. I think because you're going to come right up, you're going to come laterally up the whole animal.
Yeah, that's true. Now cut right down the center of the animal. Get our cut started. Around the penis. I forgot that bears have the penis bone. Then around the nuts, around the testicles.
I would go around him and try to get down to the anus. I know oysters.
Yep. I think I'll
Come back to that.
go down to
Yeah,
each leg at this.
I would think that. I mean, that makes the most logical sense to me. Is you're basically opening this whole thing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I again, without having done one, I don't know what's the best way to do it.
Steal this. Just take it all to. I'm gonna just take it down on the inside of the leg, down to do down the inside of the other leg. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Go to the anus first or not?
That's how I've always done every other animal I've done, but there might be a reason why you wouldn't on this, but it's, I would just start peeling all that back.
Yep. Think that testicle off?
I would. Mhm. Make a necklace.
Right there. So bears actually have a bone for their penis, and that's it. Well, not that part, but that part. Mm. I'm gonna have to sacrifice some of the meat in order to make sure I don't put any holes in the hide. We're still gonna take most of the meat, but main priority for this one is its hide. I'd rather not poke any holes in that. What you think? Come here. Right there. So we're at the armpit, and I don't want to cut into the armpit.
Yeah. So I try to do as much as possible
With
use your
fingers?
fingers, yeah. So if you can start peeling some of that away,
Okay.
but whatever way you can open it up,
Okay.
I just use my fist.
Okay.
Often.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's a little harder. You're right on this. Like you want to stay on to you want to stay on the meat.
Yeah.
Um,
As opposed to,
yeah,
I'd rather deliver this with a little bit of meat on it and let him
yeah,
deal
he'll
with it.
flesh that out really easily. Yeah, but I would try to work your fist down in around this stuff, and then yeah, you can you
Cut
can
that.
split that there and
Okay.
here and just stay on it. So yeah, you're gonna make a talking point about that, or you're just gonna.
So when you're making a rug with the hide, you want to be very careful with the armpits because that's hard for the taxidermist to sew back together. So that might mean sacrificing a little bit of the meat on that front shoulder. Once you get rolling, just like with every other animal, the hide will start to peel away. So what we want to do is work our fist, use our fingers, get down in there and loosen it up from the muscle as much as possible. The skin's really strong. The likelihood of you ripping it with your fist is very, very low, but the likelihood of cutting it with a knife is very, very high. So it's best to use our fingers and fist to move it away when at all possible. Another connection. Perfect. Big scent land.
Mhm. right through here. Might loosen that up.
So when I'm taking the hide off, I'd rather leave a little bit of meat on the hide. That way the taxidermist can flesh it out and get it exactly as they want it, as opposed to me trying to trim it off and then putting holes in the hide and hoping that they're able to sew it back together. Got a screen for a sec.
Going down to your spot.
What's that?
You're coming down to your exit wound.
Okay.
On outside.
This is not the easiest task.
No. Looks a little awkward.
It's completely counterintuitive from being a hunter. Yeah, I bet if we hung it, we could just.
Yeah, if you had a single tree, You just open up its back,
Yep.
get the back paws off, and you just
Just
whole thing would just
pull it
right
down.
off.
I'm at the wound now. What I'm going to do is pull those guts through that wound.
Yeah, and then it'll be on the inside of the hide.
Yep. Ah, I see what you did there inside the hide.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Beyond that wound.
Yeah, I would just work up and try to do one of the paws.
What'd I do with that knife?
It was sitting by your foot, I thought.
Damn it. That's why I never, ever put my knife on.
Oh, the other side.
Oh, it's right there. Yeah. Just say we can't go on without knowing where it is. So before I get the
I would try to pull as much of the hide as you can off and work your way up there, and then just go under that pad and cut it. And then when you get through the wrist
wrist
joint
joint.
in there, you're gonna be able to pull that back down, and then you'll be able to take that front quarter off.
Yeah. So what you're thinking is get up underneath that pad.
I would go, yeah, I would go underneath the pad and so, I mean, just looking at the anatomy that's in there,
Yeah.
you're trying to get into that joint.
Right there.
Yeah, it's a weird because part of the
It's like a double joint,
yeah, but it's these two bone. I mean, it's the
radius and ulna.
yeah, they're kind of together in there. Yeah, yeah, I don't think you can't. You got to use a knife to peel that. It's just connected. And it might be that it it's stiffening up to you,
Yeah.
just from a skinning standpoint. But yeah, I mean, you want to keep that pad intact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you go kind of go around it, I guess. But
I think I could get in there without doing that.
yeah,
I do. I'll work my knife and then see.
I mean, the worst thing that's gonna happen is you're gonna screw one up, and then you make a correction on the other side, or
Yeah. Yeah.
do a different one. I think coming into this, that's what I was. This is the part that I was thinking was going to be the hardest, right?
Yeah.
Most awkward to get up in there because
100%.
Taylor even had said, "Oh, there's a
There's
trick."
an easy way to do it.
Yep. I mean, I think if you when you get into that joint, you're just cutting ligaments, and it's gonna pop right apart.
Yeah, I think so too.
It'll
It's just
bend right over backwards.
it's a matter of getting there.
I mean, it's no different than doing an ungulate or a deer or an elk or whatever's legs. Once you find that spot and you figure out how to do it, it's like two cuts with a knife and twist it and
Yep.
pops right up.
100%. Wonder if I can go all the way up to the paw and leave that off to the side and go up to
You
there.
could,
I think that's going to be the way.
yeah, yeah, just skin right around the pad and then
Yeah, I'm going to keep the pad to the right and just come right up there.
I think once you get into the joint, it's gonna be fine.
Oh, I think so too. Oh, yeah. Nice. Cool. With the knife under the rest of the shank muscles, and then that joint's right there. Hmm.
Son.
I see the joint. I see that it's open. You can see that. I just can't put my head around it just yet. I will in a second. Thank you. That's part of the ulna coming down.
Yeah.
I get
Yeah,
it.
there's that's what the last thing you need to break, I think, is this. The,
Tendon.
yeah. So all this connective tissue is coming up into that joint. If you get higher up even now, yeah, there you go, right down in there. That's what you're trying to get through, I think.
Solid bone, but
Is it really?
yeah, that's a solid piece of bone. So it's even by there. It's
That'd
right
be
there.
Yeah, under that pad. There you go. So you get up in there. I'm sorry. I was thinking you could almost just pop it.
I know.
Just
There we go. That pop helps.
just finding me, Jones.
Yeah. Just like the hind leg on an elk. Let's see. There you go.
Directly under that pad.
Yeah.
That's a good thing description to use on the other side.
Under that pad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should have. Did I get it? No. Yes. Awesome.
You just trim it up and then you peel it back and you take that whole quarter off.
Move on. Other leg. Tough too. Oh, man.
Need you to do a verbal description of the other side as you're doing, or you want me to try to do that? Because I think that's probably what most people are intimidated by, just the difference in anatomy. And I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I
a
could
good,
do a verbal description that we got to get around. That's a piece of the radius. It's radial head. We got to go around that, get up underneath that pad. Got to cut all of the forearm muscles. Yeah, I could do a verbal description of it on the other side. Oops. Cut that out. This video.
outtake.
That, and I probably don't have to be quite as careful as I'm being,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. It's your first one too.
yeah.
A special one. But
I could probably get that front shoulder off now.
mm-hmm.
Coming up the brisket. Right down the brisket. Making sure I stay out of the gut cavity. much of that roasted off as I can. So even though we're using this animal or taking the hide off this animal for a rug, we're still going to take his all the meat, because bear meat is absolutely delicious. It actually has a little fruity taste to it. It's completely different than ungulates. It's a predator, so it's eating other mammals, but it also eats fruits and vegetables. So omnivore is the correct term. Um, and the meat carries all of the flavors of all those fruits and vegetables it eats. It's really fantastic. And we remove the whole paw as well as the hide all the way around this arm in one nice piece. Now I'm just gonna pop this shoulder off and put it in a game bag. Again, using my hands whenever possible. There'll be some that I'll need to use a knife for, but I can get most of it with just my fingers. So I'm up near the head, some muscle there. I'll cut that and it'll release the shoulder even further. Cut down this lat muscle, big muscle along the back. Take all of the underlying muscles that I can. And if I can't get them off with the shoulder, I'll scrape them off and put them in the free meat bag. Ready? Even though I want to take all the meat, I'm not willing to use that knife and cut it towards me in case it slips. Because we're out here in the woods, and although we're not super far in, we're far enough that I don't want to have to worry about getting to the hospital fast at this point. Hold that leg down, and I'm going to skin up a little farther on the neck of this animal. right down around the shoulder. Front quarter, one side, done. Into the Regalia game bag. Cinch it up so no little insects get in there. One little loop over the top. And we're gonna leave it sitting in the shade and finish off our work.
Stop. I'll start another video.
Okay, so we're gonna take this front paw off because when you're making a rug out of a bear skin, it always looks really nice to have the front paw. So the way we're gonna do this, and you can see we already cut from the top pad down to the chest and open it up the rest of the way. I'm going to articulate the rest of the hide around this front leg. And then we need to actually cut all of these forearm muscles, right? This is the bear's forearm. So just like your forearm, those muscles are responsible for keeping from hyperextending the paw and keeping it flexed. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into the wrist and cut all those tendons and then work our knife into those wrist bones, of which there's 8, and break that paw back. Now, the one thing we're gonna have to worry about is the radial head, which is located right underneath this pad. So we're gonna have to extend this cut around the pad up to the main paw pad, open it up, cut all those muscles, dig the knife down into that joint, break it back, and once we do that, we'll be able to pull that pelt all the way off and take the front shoulder off. So I just made my cut all the way up to that main paw pad. And work my knife in, always making sure that I'm being safe with it. Keeping this pad intact because it'll look really good on a rug with the actual pad intact as opposed to just having the paws cut off and having to have them re-sewn. So what we're doing, again, we're just articulating all of this from this shoulder. And doing so, yes, we're losing a little bit of meat on the animal, but you know, sometimes you have to make choices as to what you want to do with your kill. And this one, we have chosen to make a rug out of the hide. So I'm using my fingers whenever possible and just articulating that hide around the front leg. Again, some muscles being left on there. Now you got to be aware the hide around the elbow is actually very thin, much like the skin around your elbow. So I'm going to be very, very gentle and touch where that hide is meeting the muscle in an effort to get it peeled back. I'm just touching it with the most forward part of the knife and slowly peeling it back. It's super important to be able to be dynamic and use your whole body when you're butchering and field dressing. So notice I'll be moving this paw around and moving my body around the animal to best get in a position that's both safe to me as the person doing it and get the best quality hide off the animal. Use my fingers and my hand to see what I want to cut. Just gently cutting, making sure that hide is coming off in one nice piece for the taxidermist. Being very careful around the elbow because, again, that skin is thin. Okay, so you can see all of these muscles are the same muscles we have. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers. We have 5 fingers as well. And these muscles control the fingers and the flexion of the wrist. So we're gonna get up in here with our knife tip as far as we can and cut. We're gonna move it, the pad up. Here is that head of that bone that we need to be aware of. Then we're gonna break that wrist back, cut any more ligaments and tendons that are in there, and peel it back, much like we're taking a tube sock off our own leg. So I'm just using the tip of my knife to get that skin around the wrist off of those muscles to articulate or show, rather, those wrist bones. And then my next step will be to cut through all of these tendons right here. And I'm not worried about cutting down through the skin or the pelt on the backside because there's bones there. So now I'm going to cut down through those. Make my way down through those with the tip of the knife. And my hands up underneath of it. That is a tendon for a muscle of your forearm that's responsible for flexing your fingers and flexing your wrist. So I'm going to keep my finger under it, and using my knife, I'm going to cut that, cutting away from my finger. Now, tendons and ligaments, unlike muscles, are very, very tough. So it might take some force to get your knife through those. So we've opened this up. A couple more down here that we have to deal with. And we'll work the tip of the knife down into there and cut them. Now we're opening. touch up the sharpness of this knife real quick. And get back to it. Rotating. And then I'll cut it. Notice I'm using my knee to flex that paw. Notice I'm using my knee and some pressure to flex that paw backwards so I can get a better view of what I actually need to get in there and cut. Yeah. And sometimes, just like with the hind quarter of an unglet, you just need to pop it open. Better.
Way better. That's awesome. And I think that's work that'll pay for, or people will pay for the app just for that, based on those joints are the weird ones. So no, I think I think both of us can probably just hack at this front quarter, get this thing done,
Yeah.
and then yeah, just get going with the rest of it. I'm happy to just
Yeah, yeah. That's weird. Just don't want to hold it and I'll cut down. Just don't want to cut that point. I'm getting anymore. It's good. Let's see. Make them in from the back side, actually. Yep. What towards you?
Yeah, it's a weird joint. Well, it's not weird. It's just it's very different than.
There's a lot to it. All these fucking bones. Like I said, there's 8 bones in there, dude. It's crazy. The knife tip goes here. in there. Fucking nice. There we go. I'm all the way through now because
That's fixing to come back this way.
yeah.
Get this piece of it. Let's jump.
Oops, I just fucking cut deep.
You good?
Yeah. So I heard a pulse.
Oh, that's it. You good?
No, okay.
Whew. Just going down. Oh, big check. All right, good. There's a big. Yeah, check. Oh, oops, sorry.
I think I'll need to touch up and then load it up here on full. Oh.
Oh.
You're looking fine. You're pulling some of the meat away, or the dermis away.
Oh, the
Pulling it so hard.
okay.
Yeah.
Woo. Yeah, buddy.
It wasn't me. Hair does not like to rip like other animals. It's not a rippy.
Punch it. Punch it down.
Interesting. Moss. Works.
Yeah. Got it, or you just gotta leave the guts in?
What do you think?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything you got it.
You want me to get a knife and start working on the other one? Or
Yeah, I think so, don't you?
we're getting tight on time.
I mean, it's still cool.
Oh yeah. We're just gonna be in the sun.
Yeah. Just try not to poke off that. If
I
you
got
do, whatever. Do you get the? Do bear rugs have a hind foot?
Yeah.
They do.
I think so. I would do it at that joint.
Yeah, it can cut the Achilles. Maybe we should roll it over. No, because then we lose all that, huh? Huh?
My gut tells me you just get down into that next joint. I'm gonna do a similar thing to what you did there. You just gotta
Cut all the way down.
cut to the ankle.
Yeah.
Right to there, and then around
cut it,
that
yeah.
joint.
I think so. Use that big Achilles that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that should loosen it right up. Oh, fuck me.
What?
Put a hole. I wasn't expecting that Achilles to be quite as fantastically starts. Get it?
I didn't try it.
You're going to go down. Once you get to here, you're going to go down around the medial malleolus. Did you cut the Achilles yet? Okay. Once you get down around that medial malleolus, you're going to cut the kind of up and around it. And that's going to get all those. Good morning, man. I see you. There you go. It's way easier to do the back through the front. Holy cow. I'm going to talk them through that real quick.
If you want, I've got it opened up. I mean, you can show the Achilles.
So what we're doing, what Adrian here is doing, you're going to go down and you're going to cut the Achilles. And the Achilles, just like on you, connects to the calf muscle. And it's responsible for keeping that foot from hyperextending. So Adrian's going to go in and gently cut that Achilles, and that's going to allow that foot to move freely. Next step, in order to remove this paw all in one, you're going to look for this bone right here. This is the medial malleolus. On you, it's on the inside of your, on you, it's on the inside of your heel. It's that big bone right there. And then you're going to take your knife and work gently around that medial malleolus because there's ligaments and tendons there. And once you open that up, you're going to be able to evert the foot and completely loosen it up. And then you go in, touch any of the other tendons and whatnot, and pull that skin all the way up. You know, if I only have a couple of little holes that help, really get in there good with this. You want me to touch it?
I'm good. It's weird that this is.
It's a little squishy and good. Adrian. So you can see that that foot's free. He's going to take his knife and probably put it on the underside of that muscle and pull it softly back to him. He's using a brand new super sharp knife. Totally freed up both sides. We have all four paws intact. It's going to be awesome. Now we're going to lift this hindquarter up a little bit, and I will hold it, and Adrian is going to skin down the hindquarter. And then we will remove the hams and have delicious bear hams. Now, again, we're sacrificing a little bit of the meat because we want to make a nice rug out of this big boar. It has fantastic fall-like hair on a spring bear, which is very, very uncommon. So we're willing to sacrifice a little bit of meat off of this animal in an effort to get a really nice rug. Now, with that being said, we are going to go ahead and get more bear tags because bears are predators. And as they control the elk and deer population, it's our responsibility to also control the predator population. Yeah, take more meat as opposed to less.
Keep that.
We're going to keep, and again, Adrian had just pointed out, we are going to keep the tail and we're going to keep the vertebrae in the tail because I'm going to get this to a taxidermist pretty quickly. Let me pull it. Let's pull it a little that way so we're back in the frame. You want to help? I think we should remove the hams. Jeff. Make it my knife. You want to push that there and I'll skin down? Being early in the spring, even has really nice fat on it. I'm gonna switch this. Here, take this one. Okay. It's fine.
Yeah.
Now we're trying to keep the inside of this pelt clean, but we're more worried about it getting cuts in it and whatnot. So the taxidermist will be able to do that when they flesh the inside of it. That's the bud holes. Let's do the tail at the very end. Or do you want to?
You have five.
What would you do?
I would probably just got it. Get done with it and it's out of the way.
Well, the problem is we have the hips here, so I got to skin it off of the hips. This is the problem. Now I'll take this quarter off. Want to do the honors? I'll lift it up.
Ball.
Should be. We're just removing the hind quarter, locating that ball, which is right there. All the muscle fibers point down to it. We're gonna go down and cut into it, and then lift off that hind quarter. Nice bare hand. The ball. Keep the knife blade on the pelvis. You won't have to worry about the guts. Because that little ligament is free. That's right. Good to go. Nice little bare hand. This one?
No, you
You want to start on the head while I
Yeah.
do this one?
Yeah.
Okay. You can use whatever knife you want. You might want to use that, whatever knife you want. I don't give a shit. So while I work on this hindquarter, Adrian's going to take the head of this bear off. And what he's going to do, he doesn't even need to go clear up to the base where the neck meets the skull. He's just looking for a space between a vertebrae. And we're going to take all the head off. And we're going to roll the hide up and pack it out, and the taxidermist will be able to handle the rest of it. Want some help? Or are you good? Yeah. Seems like it's swollen pretty bad.
I am. That's where all buttons go.
Got that femoral artery. That's a sign that I'm right near that ball joint. And there is the ball joint. Release.
Yeah, well,
Just keep it from spinning and get this off right quick. Sorry, bud.
oh, you're good.
Quarter number 2.
Oh, you good.
This knife, are you good?
I'm good. What's not now? I cut the. I wanted to work that one through it.
Well, we can flip it over now. Like spin it. Should we do that?
Well, we're gonna have to skin the back out as we go along. I mean, you're still connected all the way down the spine.
Yeah.
You know, from a standpoint of where
Okay.
but I mean, your straps are still in there too.
Yeah. That's what I was
But-
saying.
But if you want to skin up that, I wanted to get all the way through. I have a hole. I have an opening.
Okay.
I just want to work that opening all the way to so I can cut the top of that.
Yeah, I get you.
I'm good.
I don't think it's ever taken this long to clean an animal.
Yeah.
New animal.
Learned. Yeah. I've never done one. I have complete confidence in doing one myself now.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Was that you?
That's,
Oh, I was like, well done. You're through the head.
I'm around this, but let's take the straps out first, and then we'll just be able to pop that. I think if we just pick the body up, we'll be able to pop
Yeah.
it.
So here, use this knife. Nice and sharp, and you want to skin the. I'll pull it back. You can step on the paws or whatever. And huh?
You set your straps in the dirt, dude.
No, these are the straps, right there.
So I'd take those first because they're more important than the head. I mean, the head. We're just gonna be able to pop this.
Yeah.
So there we go. Do it. Let me just double check that we're. Oh yeah, we're fine. So Mike's pulling out the back straps now. But we've got the entire hide scun out now, and we're able to roll this over. So to take the head off, what I did is just took all the muscle and connective tissue around one of the vertebrae that were right at the kind of junction line where we cut down the front legs and where that T kind of came together down in there. So once he pulls the straps out of this, we'll be able to just take the balance of the body and just basically invert it over top of the head, and it'll snap the spine right there. So, but we just took all this connective tissue and opened it up. But that's a point where you want to be careful to not cut through your hide on the backside if you haven't gone through and scun this out. If you're doing this yourself, you kind of just work your way, move the portion of the carcass off of the hide, and just take your time working your way all the way up to where the entire hide has been, scun out or removed from the balance of the carcass. Protrusion sticking up or whatever, you gotta cut around.
Things I'm not used to. So what I'm doing, I've cut down along the vertebral column straight down, and now I'm coming up the ribs, and I'm going to lift the anterior, or the part near the head, up, and then I'll peel it all the way back to the pelvis, which is already, we've already removed those hindquarters. See all the fusions that aren't normal there. You do that. Get a chance to jump on it. One nice there extra. And we'll throw the straps in with the front quarters.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold it up.
Busted up in here.
Oh yeah, from that exit one and entrance probably. So I'm just going to hold this for Adrian so he has a little easier go at that. He's keeping the blade of his knife away from the body, even though you can't tell because this is just the core. He is over the abdomen right now, and he knows that because there's no ribs that he's actually touching. And what he's doing is taking his fingers and articulating that backstrap up off of the ribs. That way he has less to cut. If there's less to cut, there's less chance of hitting that paunch as well as hitting your fingers. And it's just a cleaner look for the meat. Do we hang the hide in camp or leave it rolled up, or do I get it to a taxidermist as fast as we can?
Oh, that's a good question for Taylor. I mean, I would think you want to get it to a taxidermist reasonably quick, but
I mean, if there's a taxidermist in Boise that he likes, I have no problem taking it there either. Can run it down.
interesting with the way it is.
Yep. There's far less meat than you actually think there is. What I did at this point is I came up from the ribs and met it and then just touched it back like you do an elk. Just a little touch point there. Start to this from together. It's all cartilage. Need to cut away. It's extracted. Good job.
Oh. Woo!
I think I got a little bonus on.
Sounded like him. Just hit it. It'll zip right through it.
It's a shitty bone, sorry.
That's sorry. It's only gonna take like 5 pulls.
It's nope, we don't have the bone saw. Didn't bring it.
All right, so just hold his head steady.
Okay, I'll hold his head steady.
Actually, snaps.
Mm-hmm. Like that. Maybe on the good.
Work, dude. Cool working there, man. I think you just like lay it in on itself, lay its paws in there, and just roll it up. Never seen anybody else do.
Kind of
Put them in and just roll it right up
to the head.
Yeah, you roll
So-
from
So
feet
like
to head.
this.
Yeah, side will come in.
Still clean that thing, right?
No, it's not that bad. Very good. Yeah, like I said, they'll throw it in almost like a big wash tub, a basin, a big,
Yeah.
big. They'll soak it.
Dude, how rad is that?